Welcome to the Retro Rumble! What a reversal! He found his mark.
RetroMania Wrestling will be instantly familiar to anyone who remembers WWF WrestleFest from the arcades. That game was an enjoyably bright, brash and loud cabinet featuring icons like the late greats Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan pulling off their signature moves in gloriously chunky pixel art. RetroMania Wrestling does a very good job in recapturing a lot of what made its inspiration so successful in the 90s, with its own varied roster of made-up and licensed superstars, including the upcoming edition of the Macho Man himself, Randy Savage, amongst others, and it appears that there may yet be more to come, if the developer Retrosoft Studios can crowbar the required license out of the now WWE and friends. Solo players can work through the career of Johnny Retro, making various decisions about who to team up with or antagonise on your way to the NWA title, or you can choose your own wrestler in the £10 of gold mode, beating each and every other character in the roster to claim the title. Elsewhere, up to 8 friends can enjoy local multiplayer across exhibitions, tag teams, cage matches and Royal Rumbles, with a number of tweaks possible to the rules to suit your preferences. As you'd expect, the wrestlers all have their own unique moves, including several context-sensitive grapples, throws and special moves. You can run and clothesline or dropkick, jump off the top turnbuckles and take the fight beyond the ring and into some brilliantly animated wider arenas, which can be anything from a gym to a ballroom and on the beach, as well as more traditional stadium venues in countries around the world. It does take a while to get used to the controls, particularly gauging the proximity required to pull off certain moves, and it would have been nice to have had just a few more frames of animation here and there to really sell the impact of the moves. In single player, anything from normal difficulty upwards provides a stern arcade challenge, and there are times when it can be exhausting to hammer the buttons in order to win grapples or haul yourself up off the mat before a giant pair of oily buttocks lands on your face to finish you off. But give the game time and figure out when to strike, when to grapple and when to run, and you can string together any number of impressive and varied combos that feel great to pull off. RetroMania Wrestling is a real retro blast, especially in multiplayer, and it should hold considerable appeal for those of you who missed the golden era of sports entertainment from the late 80s and early 90s. Football fans rejoice. Finally we can play five-a-side in the way the 16-year-old part of our brain still thinks we can, without the need for on-field resuscitation and a doctor's warning about our cholesterol. Playing in teams of 3, 4 or 5 with the pitches scaling according to the numbers, the game owes more than a nod to the evergreen Rocket League. The sometimes surreal enclosed arenas will instantly feel familiar, along with the flashy goal animations and celebrations, and the overall idea is just the same: score more goals than your opponent across the 6-minute matches. As with Rocket League, you'll only ever be tasked with controlling the one highly customizable player, and do remember to give yourself the shirt number 69 like the rest of the internet has. Where you play on the field is up to you and your team, with rush keepers suddenly developing gloves when they're the nearest player to the goal and losing them again when they make a run out into the field. Control in the game is almost like that of a first-person shooter. The left stick runs you around and the right stick moves the camera. Then you have buttons for run, shoot, pass, tackle, jump, jockey and dive for a save, with further context-sensitive moves depending on where the ball is and where you happen to be on the pitch. There are also certain skill moves, with the over-the-head rainbow flick being the overused example in games at the moment. What's particularly impressive is that, even though you can't be offside, there are no yellow or red cards, no fouls, no penalties, and you can often handle the ball a mile outside your area. Nothing feels unfair. Everyone has the same set of abilities, you all benefit and struggle with the same set of rules, and it's up to you how to use them. Stringing a succession of passes together, keeping possession as you dodge slide tackles, and then finding that one killer ball for a well-worked goal is incredibly addictive and satisfying. Unimaginative players are currently trying to score the same type of goal relentlessly by smacking the ball high off the wall and following up with an all too accurate rebound, while ball hogging by solo glory hunters who never pass and leave the rest of the team to do the dirty work in goal or defence can make for some frustrating matches. But welcome to every online game ever, and all the more reason to make sure you play with a group of friends wherever possible and mitigate the shortcuts the kids have found. As the title screen is currently keen to remind every player, Rematch is a game that's growing and evolving with player feedback, and several stability patches have already been introduced since launch. Its emphasis on practice and teamwork, coupled with the laugh-out-loud haphazard mistakes you get from watching some not quite elite athletes playing, is on course to make the game a fantastic long-term alternative to a certain other cynical pay-to-win football series.
Good job.
Tennis as a pure arcade sport has been on a poor run for years, with nothing much worth playing since Sega's Virtua Tennis series ended in the mid-2000s. Mario and friends have had a good go, but with imbalanced games packed full of gimmicks, it's just been impossible to find anything without the fuss. Super World Court is a throwback to the arcade heyday and perfect for when you just want the quickest, easiest tennis out there for short bursts for 2 to 4 players. Each player in the game has their own stats, with some slightly quicker or stronger than others, but there's no one cheat character. It's entirely down to your preferred playstyle. You can always try being a cat or a robot if you're looking for something a bit different though. Matches can be as long or short as you like, and the rallies that mix hard-hitting topspin, slices and lobs are brilliant fun, recovering points you should have lost and sending a sweet winner down the line or blasting an ace. Doubles in particular is guaranteed to give you a laugh, win or lose. Super World Court is every bit as simple as it looks, with only 4 courts, including one Namco-themed location with a small army of Pac-Men as aligned judges, and sadly there's no way of turning off the one background tune, which is a bit of an oversight. There is an occasional issue with perspective, especially high balls, and the single player is unlikely to hold anyone's attention for long, but with 2 or especially 4 players locally, if you want something quick and easy to provoke a few laughs for the price of a single beer, you can't go far wrong here. The title may sound like an 80s power ballad album, but what we have here is one of the better, more challenging and regularly overlooked little arcade races you can play across the consoles and PC. Making your way across 4 mountains with 5 unique trails on each, and there's one more mountain available with a small chunk of DLC, you simply have to set the fastest time for reaching the bottom, jumping, skidding and seeking out risky shortcuts as you go. For the most part the game handles really well, with a few control options available and nothing more than accelerate, sprint and turn left and right to worry about. The game keeps you invested with several challenges in each area. Make it downhill at a certain time or only crashing so often and you'll be rewarded with new outfits, bike paint jobs and parts to unlock new bikes. Lonely Mountain is an exacting game most of the time, and there are occasional perspective issues that you'll only overcome with trial and error. But if you're doing particularly well up to a certain point, the game banks your most recent checkpoint time, so you don't have to abandon a run altogether and start over again owing to one mistake, and restarts are instantaneous. The blurring effect in certain sections can be off-putting, although you don't notice it as much when you're racing as you do when you're watching someone else play. In the end, Lonely Mountains Downhill is a great little inexpensive package that's a perfect time waster for when you're not looking for anything particularly complicated.
Start. Downtown! No goal! Kiss the rim! Fast point.
Street Hoop, also known as Street Slam in certain territories, has managed something that few sports games from the 80s and 90s achieve. It's still perfectly playable today, especially with 2. In the classic 3-on-3 street games, you can pass, shoot, steal and jump, and that's about it. But there are a load of different contextual dunks, including an over-the-top special shot you build up to, and everything feels great to pull off. The AI also does a great job in selecting the correct player for you when you haven't got the ball. You can intercept shots with the right timing and turn the ball over with a careful swipe. It's not just a case of whoever scores first wins or the AI dominating you if you're playing solo. You can also take your time and find the right position for your players, throwing a defense-splitting pass at the right moment or dodging a defender long enough to release a crucial three-pointer. It makes for some close, tense and really fun matches. Despite a variety of stats for each team on paper, there really isn't much difference between them. You're just as likely to succeed with Taiwan as you are the USA, so basically, pick your favourite colour shirt and get going. Street Hoop can very quickly become addictive, especially with 2 players, and it's perfect for those casual sessions, even with friends and partners who wouldn't normally consider themselves gamers. Dust off those Reebok pumps and give it a go. Even for people who don't particularly like the real thing, there's something undeniably addictive about the right kind of golf video game. Everybody's Golf takes a solidly arcade approach to ruining a good walk, but under that breezy, whimsical visage is a highly competitive, pass-the-pad multiplayer game that threatens to swallow you for hours at a time. As is the law, you start by creating your own avatar, built from a number of options and items, and you'll unlock plenty more throughout the game, or buy them with in-game currency. Having designed your monstrosity, you can choose to embark on a career across several different courses in single or local multiplayer, unlocking them for use at any point as you go. I really like how you're always upgrading the stats for your kit, simply by using it, improving strike distance, accuracy, and even your back door. In truth, the game does linger a bit too long on the same courses, and getting them all unlocked for a bit of variety can take quite some time, but your steady investment is worth it, because even today, the game's Sega-style colourful graphics and animation are excellent. Watching a perfect swing and tracking your ball through the air and onto a beachside fairway or onto a green in the shadow of a castle feels great, and it becomes very addictive. Sadly, the online servers for this particular version of Everybody's Golf were turned off several years ago, although, as with everything else on this list, you're not really here for an anonymous competition with randoms. It's also worth mentioning that the game is entirely free to PS Plus Extra subscribers at the time of recording. There is a sequel of sorts due to arrive later in 2025, which may or may not have a bit more to offer, for a price, and that will also be coming to PC and Switch. In the meantime, for those of you on PlayStation, I'd still absolutely recommend this version of Everybody's Golf for some casual local competition.
Nice shot. Beautiful.
Round 3. 5 points.
Supersonic shoot! Here we go! Sonic color shoot!
5 points.
The original Windjammers for the arcade and the Neo Geo was a cross between frisbee and air hockey, and this 2022 update spruces things up a bit for a modern audience. In the 1 vs 1 matchups, the idea is to throw your disc into the scoring zones behind your opponent, with certain zones being worth more than others depending on the various court layouts. Either that or drop shot or slam your disc so your opponent can't return it. You can select from a wide variety of international players, each with their own strengths and weaknesses in the usual speed and power categories, with everyone having shared shot types and their own flashy bespoke special move, which is charged as the match progresses. There's an excellent variety of stages to play across, each with their own distinct look and on-court obstacles. One Vegas-themed location has the spin of a one-armed bandit deciding what the next score will be worth, which can work equally for and against you. Rounding out the package is a handful of bonus stages in a single-player campaign, and while that might be handy for a bit of practice, it's the multiplayer that you really want to get involved with. Online numbers have always been unsurprisingly low for such a niche game, but beating a friend sat next to you is as good as anything else in arcade sports, and if it's one-on-one action you're after, you should definitely give Windjammers 2 a go.
Hey!
It might be hard to believe it now, but long before anyone could tell you what a microtransaction was, EA used to make games for entertainment as well as cash. NHL 94 Rewind takes everything back to basics and to one of the most revered games in the ubiquitous hockey series. This is pure gameplay with a sense of movement, momentum and puck work that still stands up really well today. You can take on a single player championship and go for the Stanley Cup, but like most of the games on this list, you'll come here for the local multiplayer and some friendly, or not so friendly, competition amongst friends. There are a decent variety of options to tailor your team, period length and controls to your liking, and then it's simply about slamming opponents into the perspex and weaving between sticks to slap a satisfying shot into the top corner. Sadly, the comical fights that get you sent off for roughing aren't present in this version of the game though. It's understandably unlikely that this game will appeal to anyone much under the age of 40, but if you are of a certain vintage and tired of how the modern NHL games, and every other sports franchise under the EA or 2K banner for that matter, has become an iterative, overpriced cesspit of microtransactions, NHL 94 Rewind might be the shot of nostalgia you need.
On your marks. Set. Go.
To my surprise, a lot of the sports on offer in Olympic Games Tokyo 2020, the official video game, have been recreated well here for a casual audience, riffing on the classic track and field formula across 18 events, and crucially, you can design your very own Olympics from any of these events, removing anything you don't want to play. Each of the disciplines has been made as easy as possible to understand for players of all ages and skill levels, and everything is delivered in Sega's trademark crisp and colourful graphical style, starting with creating an avatar that can be anything from a true representation of your decaying middle-aged visage, right up into going full Sonic. The traditional track and field and swimming events will likely prove the biggest draw, owing to their simplicity and close competition. The 100 metres requires little more than hammering the one button, but the look on your friend's face as they contort into spasms, smashing the controller to reach top speed is worth the price of entry alone. Sport climbing, boxing and table tennis also work surprisingly well with a certain amount of strategy in each, while basketball, football, volleyball, tennis and even rugby sevens are all handled in a nicely quick-fire arcade style, perfect for short bursts. But baseball and most disappointingly BMX racing are pretty poor. The former is far too finicky to be any fun, while the latter has forgotten that it's supposed to be a race, with an awkward preoccupation with unnecessary tricks that you don't want or need in an event like this. By far my biggest criticism of the game is the fact that only 2 players can play locally, with 4 available in total online. That's a serious mistake for a family party game like this, and makes even less sense when you think of all the recent Mario and Sonic branded efforts on Nintendo's machines, including the version based on Tokyo 2020, which support 4 players locally and 8 online. Still, get some friends over, snap open a few beers and put together a short 5 to 10 event Olympics of your choosing, then get the winner of each couple to play the other to establish the overall champion. You'll be guaranteed at least one comically hysterical divorce request before the night's out. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 Remastered may be the newer games, but if you've never tried the series before, or if you're a vet who's been too afraid to don the elbow pads again after a quarter of a century, I'd recommend that you start with these 2 games first to get back into the flow. This is one of those series, particularly if you were playing in the late 90s and early 2000s, that you just can't resist once you start. I was only going to capture enough footage to show you for this video, and sure enough, I've gone through every single stage across both remastered games, trying to hoover up any missing collectibles and beat my previous scores, playing for hours in the process. Starting in a warehouse, you'll begin to master the basics of movement, jumping and grinding, most likely hunting down the skate letters as the easiest objective, before moving on to the city, the beach, parks, schools and plenty more, occasionally being pancaked by comically fast taxis and generally bailing headfirst into the concrete as you try to land a 720 bollocks fish or whatever they're called. Every run, whether you score 100 points or 100,000, will teach you something new. That could be a new trick, discovering a new area, or how to string a combo together using the hundreds of well-placed buildings, rails and obstacles. Eventually you'll memorise the routes you want for the maximum score, and the risk-reward thrill as you become faster with each new trick, millimetres from bailing and losing all your points, is a shot of pure adrenaline every time. When you've finished exploring the two games' main levels, you can create your own skate park or challenge others online or locally, going for the best score and unlocking tons more kit as you go. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 Remastered shows everyone exactly what a modern take on a classic formula could and should be, and the games in this package reassert themselves as amongst the very best of digital arcade sports. If you haven't done so already, I thoroughly recommend that you strap yourself to a plank and graze some knees now. So, what quickfire arcade sports games do you turn to? I'm sure we've still got some Speedball 2 fans out there, maybe a little bit of sensible soccer? Let us all know in the comments below, and don't forget to ding your notification bell so you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. I will be back very soon with a lot more games, new and old. Cheers for now.